Amidst the laughter and chatter that filled the village market, there was a day when the air carried an unusual sweetness that beckoned the villagers to the heart of the marketplace. This was not an ordinary day. It was the day when Tandy, the culinary artist renowned for her unorthodox ingredients, decided to unveil her latest creation. With a basket brimming with the most peculiar items one might encounter, she prepared to transform their perception of flavor once again. While the sun played hide and seek behind billowing clouds, Tandy had gathered her ingredients with care. Wild amaranth greens, harvested from the outskirts of the distant hills, gleamed with dew as if they were precious jewels. Accompanying these were the crimson-hued baobab fruit, cut open to reveal a tangy pulp that danced on the tongue with each taste. But the pièce de résistance was the fragrant spice blend that Tandy had painstakingly crafted from roasted termites, a secret she had kept close to her heart, only to be shared with those daring enough to taste her exceptional creations. As she set about her work, the villagers watched with mixed feelings of intrigue and skepticism. They reminisced about past culinary adventures, where Tandy had turned humble cassava into glorious dishes that sang with flavor. Yet, the thought of termite seasoning had never crossed their minds, and it sent ripples of doubt through the crowd. The aroma began to waft through the market, drawing in bystanders like moths to a flickering flame. With each stirring motion, Tandy invited the essence of the wild into her pot, a melody of nature transforming into a feast for the senses. With careful skill, she sautéed the greens, coaxing their earthy essence to mingle with the tangy notes of baobab and the smoky undertone of her secret insect spice. The bubbling pot became a potion of promises, whispering stories of flavors unexplored and boundaries broken. The villagers gathered closer, their initial doubt transforming into a childlike curiosity. They leaned in, captivated by the alchemy unfolding before their eyes. As Tandy plated her creation, a vibrant mix of colors and textures graced the wooden table, exuding both beauty and boldness. It took but a single taste for the first brave eater to burst into laughter, their eyes wide with wonder as the complex flavors danced upon their palate. Word spread like wildfire, the extraordinary dish breaking through the barriers of convention and fear, igniting an excitement that embraced the community. With every bite, laughter and stories intermingled, and they began to share their own culinary curiosities, each tale more exaggerated and whimsical than the last. In this moment of culinary flux, their minds opened to the possibilities that resided within the unlikeliest of ingredients. Surrounded by friends and flavors, the villagers found themselves united by Tandy's delightful audacity, a reminder that sometimes, the most extraordinary, journeys begin with a willingness to be curious. Zuri often found herself lost in the warm embrace of her grandmother's kitchen, a sanctuary where time wove in and out like the rich aromas that danced in the air. The clanging of pots and pans was a symphony, and as Zuri stared at her grandmother with wide eyes, she learned to decipher the cadence of a well-timed recipe. It was here, amidst the whirlwind of flavors and bustling energy, that Zuri grasped the true essence of cooking. How it was, more than a simple chore, it was an art form, a legacy that spoke volumes about culture and identity. With an intuitive understanding of her surroundings, Zuri became fascinated by the narrative behind each ingredient. During one memorable afternoon, her grandmother carefully selected a handful of herbs from the garden, each sprig alive with memories. The basil, she explained, had been planted by Zuri's late grandfather, who had a penchant for creating dishes inspired by his travels. The mai, rosemary, was a remnant of family dinners from days gone by, each stem a testament to the love infused into their meals. Zuri learned to ask questions that pressed against the fabric of history, tethering her to the generations before her. What did this spice mean to our family? How did it come to this table? Her grandmother responded with tales that painted vivid pictures of their ancestry, stories of resilience, of ancestors cooking off the land, using every herb, every root, every vegetable to transform the mundane into the extraordinary. The kitchen became a museum, and ingredients were the artifacts. As her grandmother taught her how to chop vegetables with precision or align spices in a harmonious way, Zuri was infused not just with skills but with an awareness of resourcefulness. She admired how her grandmother could transform yesterday's leftovers into today's feast, making an art out of necessity. Each time they turned the mundane into the marvelous, a bowl of yesterday's rice becoming a fragrant fried rice, or wilting greens reborn as a vibrant pesto, Zuri felt a spark of magic. It was here that she honed her ability to look beyond the surface, to see potential where others saw waste. Her grandmother encouraged Zuri to experiment, to tap into her own instincts. "Cooking is your canvas," she would say, her eyes sparkling with wisdom. "Don't be afraid to mix colors, to play with textures. Every dish tells a story, and you are the author." This freedom spun Zuri into a world of creativity where her childhood dreams mingled with culinary ambitions. She would whip together joy, sorrow, and laughter into a celebration on a plate, uniting flavors in ways that mirrored her own complexities. Those afternoons in the kitchen transformed Zuri irrevocably. Each day, she added to her arsenal of skills, not merely learning techniques, but embracing philosophy, an understanding that every meal could be a bridge connecting past and present, a manifestation of love and heritage. The lessons in her grandmother's kitchen became the foundation upon which Zuri would build her life, a life that echoed with the legacy of her ancestors and the promise of her own creativity, already stoking the fires of what her craft would someday become. Zuri stood in her cluttered kitchen, surrounded by the vibrant hues of the fresh produce she had gathered from the local market that morning. The sun streamed through the window, casting a warm glow over the ingredients that lay before her, a bountiful collection of tomatoes, greens, and herbs, all bursting with life. Yet, amidst the kaleidoscope of colors, her mind was consumed with a peculiar thought. As she reflected on her encounters with the local children, their laughter merging with the scent of aged wood and fresh air, the whimsical art they created with their hair lingered in her thoughts. It felt almost absurd, yet intriguing. It was extraordinary in its simplicity, an unexpected metaphor for creativity in the kitchen. What if she could weave together the essence of human experience into her culinary creations? Zuri pondered the idea of infusing her dishes with something as unconventional as hair. The concept was audacious, bordering on preposterous, but therein lay the charm. Food was, after all, a celebration of life, culture, and community. What better way to encapsulate those elements than by incorporating something so intimately tied to one's identity? With a mix of trepidation and exhilaration, she set about sourcing the needed materials. Zuri began with her own hair, gingerly collecting strands and rinsing them thoroughly. They were an extension of her journey, a reminder of the meals shared, the laughter resonating across the dinner table, the stories exchanged under moonlit skies. But she knew she couldn't stop there. She needed to test the limits of her unconventional notion. Curiosity piqued, she approached her friends, asking if they would be willing to contribute hair. The result was a diverse collection, a tapestry of textures and colors reflective of their rich backgrounds, a communal contribution woven into her culinary fabrics. As she prepared to experiment, Zuri's heart raced. She decided to blend the hair into a unique pasta dish. The process was painstaking but invigorating. She folded the fine strands into dough, each pinch and twist steeped in the stories of her friends. The moment was ceremonial, almost sacred, as she shaped the pasta, thinking of the conversations shared over meals, the joys and struggles that accompanied each ingredient. She crafted a vibrant sauce, infused with local herbs and the luscious tomatoes she had chosen earlier. As she tossed the pasta, The strands intertwined and danced together, a visual representation of the community she cherished. Once plated, Zuri took a moment to admire her creation. A whimsical, vibrant dish that promised not just flavor, but also a deep connection, a gastronomic tapestry. With a slight hesitation, she took her first bite. The taste was a symphony of flavors, echoing the wellsprings of laughter and stories shared, the very essence of the community embodied in each mouthful. This unexpected ingredient transformed the mundane into magic, illustrating that sometimes the true essence of cuisine lies not merely in the ingredients themselves, but in the connections and narratives they carry. As the sun ascended in the sky, casting a warm golden light over the village, Zuri prepared for the unveiling of her first dish. A wave of anticipation washed over her as she surveyed her meticulously arranged ingredients, each element a testament to her creativity and newfound culinary approach. The vibrant colors of fresh herbs, the earthy tones of root vegetables, and the glistening spices danced together in a vivid tableau, one that not only appealed to the eye, but also hinted at a delectable narrative waiting to unfold. Zuri had always believed that cooking was an art form, a way to express one's soul through flavors and aromas. Today, she wanted to bring that very belief to life. Summoning her memories of laughter-filled afternoons spent in the kitchens of her childhood, she remembered how her grandmother would always encourage her to experiment, celebrating mistakes as mere detours on the path to discovery. With that in mind, she aimed not only to create a meal, but to weave a story of community, sharing, and innovation all the while, deftly treading the fine line between tradition and modernity. As her hands danced over the ingredients, grinding spices in a mortar and marinating vegetables with precision, Zuri's heart raced with both excitement and doubt. Would this unconventional method resonate with her fellow villagers? They had raised their eyebrows at some of her earlier attempts, opting for familiar dishes over adventurous fare. Yet, she was undeterred. The whispers of skepticism had turned into a challenge, one she couldn't refuse. When the time came, Zuri arranged her creation on a large rustic platter. The main attraction was a medley of roasted root vegetables, harmoniously blended with grains of fire-roasted spice, tinged with the freshest herbs she could find. The aroma wafting up was intoxicating, a blend of smoky warmth punctuated by the bright herbal notes that danced in the air. She admired the way the colors complemented each other, creating an edible masterpiece that was both enchanting and provocative. As she gathered the villagers, she sensed a shift in the mood. Although initial hesitations were palpable, her spirit was buoyed by the curiosity in their eyes. One by one, they approached, dipping their utensils tentatively into the bright array of textures and hues on the platter. The first brave soul took a bite, and an array of expressions flitted across their face. A moment of silence followed, heavy with disbelief and anticipation. Then they all erupted into a chorus of praise. The clever combination of flavors surprised them, the heat of the spices mingling harmoniously with the sweetness of the roasted vegetables generated a delightful symphony in their mouths. The villagers, previously divided by skepticism, found common ground in admiration. Zuri's heart soared as she witnessed their transformation from hesitant observers to enthusiastic participants in this culinary adventure. Through this simple dish, they rediscovered not just a meal, but a sense of community and shared experience. It was a moment of unity, and as laughter filled the air, Zuri realized that her unconventional method had not only created a dish, but had sparked a conversation, ignited curiosity, and woven new threads in the fabric of her village's culinary tradition. Each bite served as a reminder that adventure often hides behind the familiar, waiting for someone brave enough to explore it. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the market square as Zuri's stall buzzed with an energy that felt almost palpable. The once small wooden structure, adorned with colorful fabrics and the fragrant herbs that defined her unique dishes, now stood as a vibrant beacon of culinary curiosity. A diverse crowd gathered around, drawn not only by the tantalizing scents that wafted through the air, but also by the buzz of excitement that had spread like wildfire. People from neighboring villages, inspired by hearsay and the glowing reviews shared over firesides, made their way to the heart of Zuri's burgeoning empire. They came in droves, old friends reminiscing about their childhood meals, families yearning for connection, and adventurous souls motivated by the thrill of trying something extraordinary. Each visitor brought their own story, enriching the atmosphere and transforming the marketplace into a tapestry of laughter and animated conversation. As the folk shuffled in line, eager anticipation radiated from their faces. Stories of Zuri's culinary magic echoed through the crowd, tales of her savory dishes, which melded local ingredients with textures and flavors inspired by far-off lands. One woman recounted the first bite she had experienced. She described how the fusion of spices danced on her palate, transitioning from warmth to subtle sweetness, a symphony of taste that lingered in her memory far longer than the meal itself. Others chimed in, embellishing tales of the lively gatherings they had shared, where Zuri's creations transformed ordinary moments into extraordinary feasts. Zuri, standing at her improvised kitchen within the stall, worked with the same blend of intensity and calm that had brought her this far. Each plate she crafted became a canvas upon which she painted history and emotion. Newcomers were intrigued, watching her skilled hands lovingly prepare dishes bursting with color. Vibrant greens, deep reds, and golden yellows met their gaze. She engaged them in conversation, sharing snippets of her inspiration, techniques passed down from her grandmother, and the local folklore that surrounded each ingredient she used. The more she spoke, the deeper their curiosity grew, her passion contagious. Eager hands reached forward to sample the delicacies. A dish of spiced lentils, garnished with freshly picked herbs, was handed to an elderly gentleman whose eyes widened in delight with every mouthful. Nearby, a group of young travelers snapped photographs to document their culinary adventure. They were not merely looking for a meal, but an experience to take back to their own villages, to inspire and ignite their own communities as Zuri had done. The market square transformed into a communal celebration as laughter and chatter filled the air. Zuri's culinary creations became the heart of this gathering, a unifying force that transcended age, background, and expectation. The joy radiating from her stall drew attention beyond the immediate crowd. People paused from their daily routines, curious about the radiant energy and eager to taste the magic for themselves. As twilight cloaked the village in soft shadows, Zuri felt a sense of connection deeper than mere business. She was nurturing a community, one bite at a time, and through her kitchen, had built a bridge that welcomed everyone into her world. As Zuri's culinary revolution gained momentum, so too did the scrutiny surrounding her unconventional methods. Opinions clashed like pots and pans in a bustling kitchen, some applauding her for breaking away from the staid traditions of culinary arts, while others unleashed a storm of criticism. The debates simmered, fueled by social media fervor that had the power to amplify even the faintest whispers of dissent. Each brushstroke of her creativity was analyzed, dissected, and often condemned by a cadre of traditionalists who believed that some ingredients were sacred, unfathomable in their combination, too bold to grace a plate. Zuri was no stranger to opposition. In her formative years, she had faced many questions about her unique cooking style. Her use of exotic spices infused with modern techniques had already raised a few eyebrows, even among her closest friends. But this time, the pushback felt more personal. Critics were vocal and unrelenting, flooding comment sections, sending formal letters, and even taking to culinary blogs to express their ire. They questioned not only her ingredient choices, but the very essence of her culinary philosophy. philosophy rooted in the idea that food could be a bridge between cultures, a canvas for expression rather than a mere adherence to tradition. Yet, Zuri's response was not one of retreat, but evolution. Determined to confront this criticism head-on, she took the time to understand her critics, listening to their concerns with an open heart. She soon discovered that beneath the harsh words lay a deep-seated fear of change, a fear she had once shared. As she sifted through complaints, she realized that many were driven by a sense of nostalgia, a longing for the flavors and techniques that had shaped their culinary identities. Rather than dismissing this sentiment, Zuri recognized it as an opportunity to foster dialogue, forging a connection between her vision and the traditions that had come before it. She began hosting community forums, inviting anyone willing to engage in a conversation about food, innovation, and the future of culinary arts. The first of these gatherings took place in a local open-air market, a bustling hub where generations of families had exchanged recipes and laughter over fresh produce. Zuri recalled how nervously she had paced before the event, unsure of how her radical ideas would mesh with the established wisdom passed down through the decades. Yet, as she spoke, sharing her journey and her motivations behind each experimental dish, she felt the disconnect start to dissolve. People began to share their own stories, traditional recipes infused with modern twists, memories of family dinners that sparked their love for cooking. Zuri discovered that the audience was not against innovation per se, but rather cautious of change that disregarded the past. They craved a bridge, a synthesis between old and new. Inspired, she began to craft dishes that honored local ingredients while incorporating her own unique flair. By choosing to listen rather than silence her critics, she embarked on a journey of collaboration. Slowly but surely, she built alliances with chefs and home cooks who were willing to explore this shared space between tradition and fresh thinking. Each new dish became a canvas for dialogue, another brushstroke in the vibrant story of flavor. Zuri's commitment to innovation transformed her kitchen into a sanctuary of creativity, where new ideas were welcomed and cherished. As she plated her latest creation, a fusion inspired by grandmother's stew infused with her secret blend of spices, she felt the weight of the past and the promise of the future blending harmoniously on the table. In embracing her critics, Zuri wasn't just reshaping her culinary identity, she was paving the way for a richer dialogue about food that resonated across generations. Zuri leaned against the cool marble countertop, her fingers tracing the intricate patterns as if seeking a map to her very essence. The voices of the bustling restaurant, with their playful banter and the sizzling of pans, had dulled into a distant echo, leaving her enveloped in the embrace of solitude. It was during these late-night conjurations that the reality of her choices settled heavily upon her shoulders, like the weight of a chef's white coat. She flicked her gaze toward the handwritten notes pinned to the fridge, scattered ideas, half-formed recipes, and phrases capturing her culinary dreams in fleeting moments of inspiration. Each note was a reminder of her aspirations, but they began to feel like shards of glass, reflecting her insecurities back at her in a relentless barrage of doubt. What if all these experimental tastes were mere folly? Her mind raced, questioning whether she truly belonged in the realm she had carved out for herself. The vibrant colors of her ingredients began to lose their luster, and the smiles that brightened her service slipped out of focus, replaced by the nagging fear of failure encroaching like shadows at twilight. Zuri turned to the window, where the moon hung high, casting a silvery glow on the quiet street below. She recalled her first experience in the kitchen, the way she meticulously measured flour, the curious combination of spices that danced together in her young imagination, and the sheer joy of sharing those creations with family. Each meal was a journey, an expression of love that transcended the mere act of cooking. But with growth came expectation, the need to elevate her craft and push boundaries. It was exhilarating and terrifying, often intertwining her desire for excellence with a constant fear of disappointment. A deep breath steadied her. Beyond the doubts lay the glimmers of inspiration. She remembered a young girl who had come into the restaurant one evening, her wide eyes sparkling with hope. Zuri had plated an array of colorful dishes, vibrant vegetables, and perfectly seared proteins, transforming each moment into art. The girl's laughter echoed in her ears, a blissful reminder of how something as simple as food could bring people together, lift spirits, and kindle joy. In that memory, Zuri found her purpose. The fleeting doubts diminished when she focused on the impact she could create through her craft. Drawing strength from the laughter that resonated in her heart, she stepped back to the warmth of her stove. The pots and pans glistened, waiting for her guidance, and ingredients lined up like eager participants ready for a theatrical performance. They whispered secrets of flavor combinations, nudging her to explore instead of retreat. It was this delicate interplay of creativity and spontaneity that made her love cooking. Each dish was an exploration of her identity, a reflection of both her triumphs and struggles. The night deepened, but Zuri felt the flicker of passion pulse within her once more. The kitchen, illuminated by a faint glow of the overhead lights, became her sanctuary once again. She had embarked on this culinary journey not just for herself, but for the moment she could create for others. This realization washed over her, like a warm bath, reaffirming her commitment to embrace both the genius and the absurdities of her journey. And with that, she set to work, her heart now unwavering, ready to face whatever lay ahead. As the sun rose over the village, casting a golden hue across the vibrant marketplace, Zuri walked with purpose, her heart brimming with excitement. The Festival of Flavors was not just a celebration. It was the culmination of her dreams and a tribute to the rich tapestry of culinary identities, woven throughout the region. She had spent countless hours preparing, not only her own special dishes, but ensuring that every corner of the event reflected a deep appreciation for the flavors and stories that defined their community. Stalls were adorned with colorful bunting, and the air was alive with the sounds of laughter, music, and the sizzling of diverse ingredients coming together. Zuri had reached out to local chefs, inviting them to showcase their own interpretations of traditional recipes, encouraging a spirit of collaboration rather than competition. Each chef was given the freedom to experiment with unconventional ingredients and staging their culinary craft, demonstrating not just their skills, but their personal stories through food. As the festival commenced, the aroma of spices filled the air, mingling with the sweet scent of fresh fruits and herbs. Zuri's stall, the centerpiece of the event, was a kaleidoscope of dishes that represented her journey. A vibrant paella, infused with saffron and local seafood, sat next to a rich vegan curry, simmering with the essence of freshly ground spices. Her signature dessert, a delicate lavender-infused panna cotta adorned with candied citrus, beckoned passers-by with its enchanting colors. Villagers and visitors alike stood mesmerized, chatting and sampling goods with wide smiles, the boundaries between local and foreign delightfully blurred. Live music floated through the crowd, enhancing the vibrant atmosphere. Traditional drummers mingled with contemporary singers, each performance celebrating the duality of old and new, similar to the flavors Zuri had introduced in her dishes. Children twirled around, clutching tiny cups of wildflower lemonade, while adults exchanged recipes, their conversations punctuated with excitement and laughter. Throughout the day, chefs took turns spotlighting their own creations, sharing stories of their inspirations, and the journey of crafting their unique flavors. 1. Local baker brought a playful twist to a traditional pie, incorporating exotic spices that awakened nostalgia in the hearts of the elders while pleasantly surprising the younger generations. Zuri watched, nestled in her culinary corner, pride swelling within her as she observed her peers enthusiastically pushing their own boundaries. Zuri's heart swelled with joy as she realized the festival had turned into a vibrant tapestry of collaboration and discovery. It was a testament to the profound impact that food had on connections, how sharing a meal could bridge gaps between decades, cultures, and personalities. The swirls of laughter and exclamations of delight echoed in her ears, growing louder as dusk began to settle, adding a magical glow to the festivities. In the midst of the revelry, she felt a shift. This festival was more than just an event. It was a movement. As the stars twinkled overhead, glimmering like promises of new discoveries, Zuri understood that her journey was merely the catalyst. The Festival of Flavors had ignited a newfound passion in her village, one that would propel culinary exploration forward, blending tradition with innovation in ways she had only dreamed of before. Years passed since Zuri opened her humble stall, now transformed into a bustling restaurant that radiated warmth and creativity. The walls of her establishment were adorned with colorful murals depicting her culinary journey, a vibrant tapestry of flavors that honored her roots while embracing the myriad influences that had come to shape her cooking philosophy. Each corner of the restaurant told a story, from the spices displayed in handcrafted jars on the shelves to the framed photographs of smiling patrons relishing her dishes. Every plate served was a narrative in itself, echoing the adventures that had led Zuri to become the culinary artist she was today. As her reputation grew, so did her responsibilities. Zuri found herself not only at the helm of a kitchen bustling with talented chefs, but also as a beacon for aspiring cooks from every walk of life. They arrived in droves, some freshly graduated from culinary schools, others with a deep-seated passion kindled in home kitchens. With each new face, Zuri felt a spark of inspiration reignite within her. She embraced her role as a mentor, inviting her apprentices to share in her philosophy of cooking, one rooted in courage, curiosity, and let's not forget, a dash of daring experimentation. Zuri's kitchen became a sanctuary for the curious. She encouraged her team to venture into unfamiliar territory, to redefine the traditional boundaries of cuisine. Food isn't just sustenance, it's an expression of who we are, she would often say, urging them to infuse their personal stories into the dishes they created. With each new seasonal menu, the ethos of her guidance became evident. Canvases of plates brought forth ingenious combinations, chili-infused mango salsa paired with grilled prawns marinated in lemongrass, or a savory beetroot risotto topped with spiced pumpkin seeds. Guests didn't just eat, they experienced a symphony of storytelling crafted with passion. One evening, as the aroma of her signature dishes wafted through the air, Zuri hosted a special event, inviting local chefs and communities to partake in a culinary exchange. Her restaurant buzzed with activity, laughter mingling with the sounds of sizzling pans and clinking glasses. She watched as her mentees presented their innovative recipes, a melange of cultures blending seamlessly on each table. There was a sense of pride that enveloped the gathering. Their shared enthusiasm was palpable, a testament to the freedom Zuri had fostered within her kitchen. But her influence reached beyond just the food. Zuri's approach extended to community engagement, as she organized workshops that focused on sustainable practices and the importance of sourcing local ingredients. She believed that culinary success was deeply rooted not just in flavor, but in a commitment to the planet and its people. Each class she conducted was a celebration of knowledge, seasoned chefs mingling with novices, exchanging tips, and forming bonds over shared passions. Through her mentorship, Zuri was crafting a legacy, one that transcended her individual success and reached out to uplift others. Her restaurant became a thriving hub of culinary innovation, a place where creativity flourished and a new generation of chefs dared to dream. Every dish served was a reflection of her belief that food could indeed change the world, nourishing not only the body, but also the soul. In the heart of a city that thrummed with the rhythm of cultures colliding, there existed a small but vibrant restaurant named Zuri's Table. The journey of Zuri and her unconventional dish, widely known as cultural fusion delight, began as a stroke of culinary rebellion. As her success unfolded, it not only shaped her identity as a chef, but also altered the culinary landscape around her. Zuri shattered the boxes that confined traditional cuisine, encouraging other chefs to wear their heritage like a badge of honor. With each plate she crafted, global narratives unfolded, drawing attention from food aficionados, critics, and those seeking an authentic experience. The essence of Zuri's journey lay in her recognition of food as more than mere sustenance. It became a vessel for storytelling, an artful expression that bridged gaps among generations and cultures. Her kitchen transformed into a lively tapestry, where the fragrant notes of spices hinted at histories both rich and turbulent. This openness sparked a culinary movement where flavors and techniques from distant lands mingled freely. Ingredients such as za'atar met saffron, creating a kaleidoscope of colors and aromas that invited patrons to partake in an adventure beyond the artist's plate. Embracing this creativity attracted a diverse team to Zuri's Table, each member contributing their own cultural fingerprints to the restaurant's evolving narrative. They became more than staff. They were co-creators of a tapestry that reflected the world's mosaic. The air was filled with laughter and heated conversations, where every shift began with a sharing of stories and culinary secrets. Zuri offered mentorship that extended far beyond technique. She nurtured stories, infusing her team with a sense of purpose that extended into their personal lives. Word of mouth began to work wonders for Zuri's Table, transcending the boundaries of its small neighborhood. Diners traveled from afar, hungry not just for a meal, but for a communal experience that celebrated diversity. Zuri found herself at the helm of a cultural renaissance, her restaurant a hub of cross-pollination where art, music, and food intersected. Local artists would hang their works on the walls, while musicians shared the stage during weekend dinners, enriching the dining experience beyond culinary boundaries. Zuri's Table was now a festival of creativity that resonated through every corner of the restaurant. As the city began to embrace the unity of diversity, Zuri received invitations to speak at events, sharing her vision with communities eager to kickstart their own culinary journeys. However, with notoriety came scrutiny, and not everyone appreciated her unconventional approach. Critics sometimes questioned her methods, suggesting that in blending diverse cuisines, she diluted cultural identities. But Zuri stood firm. Her defense was simple: a celebration of connection rather than appropriation, inviting dialogue about heritage rather than division. Indeed, Zuri's influence rippled beyond her restaurant, inspiring food festivals that championed inclusivity and creativity. Each plate served told a tale of resilience and adaptation. She emerged not only as a respected chef, but as a beacon for all who dared to defy conventions, reminding the world that creativity, like cuisine, thrives in the embrace of differences. Zuri had become more than a purveyor of food. She was a custodian of culture, a bold advocate for the idea that the most extraordinary journeys unfold when we step off the beaten path, side by side, celebrating creativity in every form.